family meeting which has ever said and decided that Princess Masalanabo has been identified as an heir to the throne. Go all out and confuse the nation and the whole world by saying the Bolobedu Nation, the Modjadji Royal Nation, is only known to have been led by women. It's a lie. It's a fantasy. It's a fabrication. And we're not going to keep quiet when people misrepresent us. So they've kidnapped the princess. And you see, these people we are talking about, they are not even nearer the royal family. But they have snatched the child and they are with the child even now as I'm talking to you. And they think, because they've got the child, the unlawful custody of the child, they think they can dictate terms to the royal family.
So if I add the numbers, it's more kings who have led the Balobedu people.
Very correct, Ndate Mashian. His Majesty Wakoma Mbapata Modjadji to ascend the throne as a regent on behalf of the two kids because they were still very young. And he has been at the helm for anything not less than 18 years. Of all, if not all, majority of the indigenous falling now under the current Gazanku were the subjects of Her Majesty Queen Modjadji. We had some agreements of some kind. Number one, they came in November twice, and the third instant it was on the 22nd of January, and finally it was on the 2nd of April. That's where we had to strike the deal. But the bottom line of the agreement, number one, was that this is not going to be a documentary.
Dumelang, the viewers of Politically Incorrect podcast, you have asked for this gentleman, and we are lucky today. We have, unfortunately, he's on the line. He's a very busy man. He cannot come to the studio, but as we have always promised you from last year that let us get someone who comes within and very close. He will tell us who he speaks for and who he speaks on behalf of. Ntate Moroatshehla Luona.
More than available, Remachian
Realeboga. Let me start with the first topical one. Did you manage to watch the first episode of Queen Modjadji?
I was viewing it for the second time. It was aired on Thursday night during the launch, the whole of it. And now, yesterday, it was coming for the second time. Yes, I managed to see. Yes.
Oh, so you had the privilege of watching it before everyone could. And so I guess it puts the matter of debate out of the hand, because people were worried that this particular one, everyone will be watching it for the first time. Ka seniority, the proximity to the powers that be, you were afforded the chance to watch it before the rest of us could.
Exactly the point. Malapa
le bukhosi bya tswalelwa. Okay. So while we are on it, ke gopela re mphe tumello ke go the current impasse ya ya television show hore itla kae and what was consulted and hore itle ibe bjang on TV. And I must emphasize, a lot of people were very happy and excited to finally watch it on TV. But can I allow you to unpack, just tell the people who are you and where you from and who are you speaking on behalf of? Thank you very much.
Re Mashiani, am I going to talk? Kido Volela, Kido Wapa. What do you prefer? Lovely. My name is Ronald, and the surname is Moroatshehla. And this Moroatshehla comes twice in the history of Balobedu. He appears first as the son of Khoshi Mohale, the second born after Mohale Mauleja. Then we have got Moroatshehla, we have got Mamatepa, we have got Malaja. Of recent, especially very close and related to the drama show, Moroatshehla comes as the younger brother of the first reign queen, Maselekwa. Okay, but nonetheless, the truth is with regard to the show itself. Let me indicate from the word go that last year, November, when the Rhythm World Productions, led by Baba Nengwekhulu, visited our head crawl, requesting for permission to air or to construct this show for purposes of showing it public. We had some agreements of some kind. Number one, they came in November twice, and the third instant it was on the 22nd of January, and finally it was on the 2nd of April. That's where we had to strike the deal. But the bottom line of the agreement, number one, was that this is not going to be a documentary. Because you see, when you talk about a documentary, it's whereby you come up with real facts or something congruent to the facts. We agreed, and they said the show itself is going to be more of a fiction than of a documentary. Because you see, if it was going to be a documentary, it would call for them to come with real facts. And you and I will see and agree. How do you reconstruct something which happened more than 200 years ago into reality and say, now I'm telling the nation the real things which happened? And we were comfortable with the fiction part of it. And mark you will understand that the Rhythm World Production, they are in business. To them, it's a business venture. But to us, it comes into, number one, we felt it's going to be an exposure of who the Balobedu people are and what their culture and tradition is more or less like. And secondly, we looked at it and as a form of exposure in the sense that the local people may also be able to be exposed, participate in the show, and later on they will be exposed to the broader society and to the broader world, because it will be something which shall have started with regard to their own culture and tradition. Maybe I can make a post there.
Thank you very much. So You said in November you started sitting down, consulting and making agreements. Is that November 2023?
Yes, it's November 2023, Baba.
So when you started speaking with the production house, Lebo Babakajeni, Dumagatlov, was it already in production? Have they started production, or was it only a storyline?
It was, I must confess to us, it was still a storyline.
Okay, no, that's very good.
Yes.
So do you want to explain the merits of those who said they wanted to take this to court, and how did they turn around, or how did things turn for them when they went to court, when they wanted to stop this, and at whose interest was it for them to stop the airing of this show?
Ramashiyani went out the one net as early as 2021. Though this puzzle itself, it started in 2019. There was a power struggle. The power struggle which resonated from the moment when the family decided and came up with a big decision, wherein the family said the elder brother to Princess Masalanabo, who was Prince Likukela, will take over. Ever since, I do not know whether you have got time for me to go back to that, because this one I wanted to come to the studio and explain to the nation, in as much as I went to Power FM and explained. So ever since that tussle started, the group, which, if I were to put them well in the correct English, I would say they are the imposters.
Which group is the imposters?
Yeah, and I'm talking about the group which calls themselves that they are the Bolobedu Royal Council. Balobedu Royal Council.
Is that the group?
You know them?
Is that the group led by Rasebocha and Motjadji?
Yes, that is their group. Those are the people who have actually, I don't know the suitable, for lack of a better word, I could even go to an extent of saying they've kidnapped the princess. And you see, these people we are talking about, they are not even nearer the royal family. But they have snatched the child, and they are with the child even now as I'm talking to you. And they think, because they've got the child, the lawful custody of the child, they think they can dictate terms to the royal family. So these are the same people who said they were never consulted when this drama was agreed to. And the question is, who the hell are they to seek to be consulted when in principle they are not part of the family, the royal house? So they are hiding behind the fact that they are having the princess, and they already called the princess that she is queen. And now the greatest question is, if she is queen, who bestowed that status to her? Because you see, Act number 3 of 2019, the traditional and the Khoisan leadership, the act says anybody who is to sit on the throne, number 1, must be identified by the royal family. And the question is, who identified Princess Masalanabo? And which royal family has identified her. And now it goes further to indicate that the role of either in case it's a traditional leader, an ordinary traditional and not a king or a queen, the role for a traditional leader or a senior traditional leader or an induna to recognize the identification is for the premier in a particular province. But in case of a king or a queen, the recognition is the prerogative right of the president. So we are not yet there, but to them it is a foregone conclusion that Matsalana, the Princess Matsalana, is already a queen, which is a great lie and a very unfortunate situation.
Okay, it's unfortunate that they are also using the Traditional and Khoisan Act to campaign for their own leadership, but I don't want to dwell into that a lot. So they are saying and they are alleging that the production house went to consult Mpapata, who is not a headman, who is not a chief, and who is not a king. This is what they allege, and I think this is what they took to court. Am I correct?
You are very correct, but I think we need to clarify the public, we need to clarify your listeners that indeed that was their allegation. But where we are standing now, you see, nature does not allow any vacuum. Where we are standing now, His Majesty Wakoma Mpapata Modjadji, it's a recognized leader of the Bolobedu Nation, Modjadji Royal Nation. And for that, he's having certificate to that effect as a regent. And for that matter, even of recent when the president was inaugurated in Pretoria, he was officially acknowledged. And let me tell you that Madam Mutsika was present with Princess Matsalana. And there was no acknowledgement to that effect because it is not a known factor. They are not recognized to this very far. His Majesty Wakoma Mpapata, it's not the king, but he is the regent. And the letter does not state the regent on behalf of who, though we know for certain in our minutes that he is a regent on behalf of Prince Lekukela Modjadji, who is in the process of finalizing his studies. And I believe by the time he will be finalizing his studies as an LLB student, when he will be finalizing his studies, even this matter will be rounded and be solved within our courts. But I can, if I were to take it further, tell you that indeed they took a written word, multi-choice, and DSTV, and also His Majesty Wakoma Mpapata Modjadji, and even Prince Lekukela. All those people were cited, and really, you see, they took them to court. But unfortunately, there are always losers, but losers who never give up. The matter was ruled out, and because the judge said, the acting judge indicated that this matter is not urgent. And secondly, there is no harm that the showing of the drama itself will cause in that nation at all. The matter was summarily dismissed, and of course with costs. And I don't know how long are they going to pay these costs, because there are still up to 5 outstanding costs, legal costs, because of a number of cases that they've lost. But because they know what they want to turn the princess into a cash cow. They are not available to let her go. We are waiting with a bated breath that one day they will say to us, Princess, we are taking you back home to where you belong. The uncle is still alive taking care of the family. And why they are snatching and denying her the possibility of coming to the family, the royal house? Nobody knows, but we know, because they want to turn her into a cash cow. Once she is gone, it will be misery for them, the majority of them.
I thought, and for a long time I have thought this narrative exists, that it's common cause between yourselves and the opposing faction that since Princess or Queen Masala Nabo has reached 18 years status as an adult from 2023, beginning of 2023, and hence the withdrawal of Dr. Motshekga from the court representing her, that has effectively made Bakoma Mpapata relinquish his regency and her ascending. And this is why, according to me, that I believe, you have in the past indicated that Kgoshi Lukukela is king-elect. He's just waiting for coronation. Please clarify me there, which facts am I missing?
Number one, there is no family meeting which has ever said and decided that Princess Masala Nabo has been identified as an heir to the throne. 2015, what happened was immediately after she came back. Of course, after Prof went out to hunt for her, he came back with her, and there was a meeting, a Royal Council meeting, which Royal Council meeting decided that His Majesty Bakoma Modjadji is going to act as a regent on behalf of Princess Masala Nabo. And there were a number, whilst of course she's staying with the Motshekga family, and there were a number of conditions put because the social worker, or let me say social workers, were involved in this kind of arrangement. But unfortunately, there is no single condition which was put down which Prof Motshekga and his family honored. One of the crucial condition was that she will attend school while staying with Prof, but during holidays the child must be brought back home so that she should continue gelling and bonding with the siblings. And unfortunately, that very key point from 2015, 2016, 2017, the child only came back home in 2018 when the two presidents, President Jacob Zuma and President Ramaphosa, by that time Ramaphosa was still the president of the ANC, and President Zuma was the president of the country, 2018. That is the time when the child came back home, and that was not the coronation or the identification by the family that he is an heir to the throne. It was just an official handing over of the certificate of our kingdom. The certificate, the kingdom which was demoted in 1971. They were only bringing the certificate that we are bringing back your status of a kingdom. And the issue of the certificate is for who? It it is neither here nor there. But however, going forward, let me indicate that when you say now that the child has turned 18, it automatically meant that His Majesty BaKwevho must relinquish his position. That's not how things work, Baba. Let us correct that notion and demystify and the misunderstanding which you might be having and also the public might be having. His Majesty BaKwevho will only relinquish his position after we have walked the full mileage and now the heir to the throne, identified by the family, now being ready to ascend the podium through the coronation process, which process can only be done in the presence of the president or any person designated by him. So the truth remains, His Majesty is still intact and on the throne and legally so. And unfortunately, we have already indicated that on the throne, the person the family has identified so far, who must now be recognized by the president, is Prince Modjadji.
Okay, thank you. I think now I'm moving to where I think you and I are agreeing that whether I'm using correct words or not, but Prince Lukukela is positioned to become the king of Balobedu people. Is that correct?
2.2 million. Yes, 2.2 million people.
Thank you very much. Let me go back to the 1971 demotion. There's a narrative that is peddled into the media that I caught hold of, I think from since last year, that the Gazankulu government led by Honorable Hudson Tsangwisi were behind conniving with the then apartheid tribal authority, not tribal authority, that Gazankulu government, a Bantustan, went to apartheid government and requested the demotion of Her Majesty the Reign Queen. Is this true? Where does this rumor comes from?
That is more than correct, Baba. You know what happened in the Demashia? The Balobedu area, dynasty, is very broad. It covers from the Little Letaba to the Great Letaba. And the Great Letaba goes as far as a greater part of Gazankulu, next to Guyana. Historically, majority of all, if not all, majority of the indigenous falling now under the current Gazankulu were the subjects of Her Majesty Queen Modjadji. You can go and make a research, truth be told. And now, for them to be promoted to the level of senior traditional leadership, it meant so that they are no longer subjects of Her Majesty Queen Modjadji. It meant Queen Modjadji had to be demoted. Because even if they were to be promoted to be senior traditional leaders, they would still be the subjects of Her Majesty, the Queen Modjadji. To avoid that, it became prudent that, you see, Montangwe Sihele used their little and apartheid education. And mark you, by that time, the Prime Minister of South Africa was B.J. Foster. So they influenced, for a number of reasons, that the kingdom ya Modjadji itwange itewuswe idimotiwe so that those who were the indunas ba Modjadji were promoted and the governor they will be at the same level. And when they are at the same level, it is also going to affect the boundaries. And hence, we have got the boundaries which happened before the real apartheid came into being, and the boundaries which came as a result of apartheid laws and the apartheid era. And it is still something which is being contested as we are talking now. So the bottom line is the reason for demotion was to bring the Modjadji kingdom, which was so powerful, to the level of those who were promoted to be the indunas. And indeed, if you're going to go and check, everybody within the Gazankulu area calls himself senior traditional leader. And indeed, they were recognized by the Ben, because recognition of a senior traditional leader is the competence. It was the competence of those Bantu stands. And with the collaboration, BJ Foster, he sanctioned it, and that's where our status got demoted. But one other thing I can tell you, which people do not know, which I had personally researched, by that time the chairperson of the Modjadji Royal Council was a Lukugela Hex Modjadji, and they made a proposal within the Bantustan Yalubwa. By that time, the Prime Minister of the Bantustan Ibeli, C.N. Patamedi, he made a proposal that because you appear not to be concerned that much in developing that area of Bolobedu, we are making a proposal of standalone. After all, the population of Balobedu has been as huge, competing with that of the whole of Lesotho, far much bigger than the population of East Sotho. So the reason why they ultimately felt there must be demotion, it was because they wanted to stop such proposals, whereby the chairperson then made a proposal for a standalone, so that we become a land on our own, with our own offices. So all those elements resulted in the natural hatred, the hatred which said these people, if we want to deal with them amicably, so let us demote their status. They connived. Hudson and Sangwisi, Prof, and also Cedric Namudi Patudi, and they connived, and we ended up being demoted.
No, Kialeboa, for that clarity, it has been hanging and unconfirmed all over. So here, I want you to allow me to do this. I'm going to give you a bit of an understanding, and in my understanding, I want you to check which one is right and which one is incorrect. So, as far as I understand, the Modjadji history spans for around 400 years, and that's a very long time. It is said to be as more older even than the Amazulu kingdom, because of how old it is. And the area where Modjadji is and the area where Bugiani are, it was of course settled first by Modjadji, and then after Balobedu had settled there, because they came down across the Limpopo first, Batsonga, Amashangani, then they came later into a land that was already settled by Balobedu, led by the Modjadjis. And then by that, Sekgopo and Mamaila are then siblings of Modjadji. I don't know any of those is true, and I want you to help us reconstruct this history. Where did I get it wrong there?
You are 150% correct, Ndati Mashian. When we landed in this area, you right to say the Balobedu is a nation coming out of Lotsi in the southern part, not necessarily southern, the northern part of Zimbabwe, which was originally known, currently known as Zambia. We crossed the Venda area until we landed where we are. You are very much correct. And let me also indicate that when the Watsonga Bashangan, whatever you call them, came here, they were welcomed and given a place to stay by Modjadji, Queen Modjadji, and as part and parcel of the nation, in other words, as the subject of Modjadji. Things went wrong when, during the time of Ntangwis, like I've indicated, and Patugi, that's where they wanted to start creating their own smaller Nyana kingdoms. But the bottom line, of course, is our history from 1600, as you have put it, until 1800. Our history, we have been led by the kings. The first king being Magapimo, the son of Zugudune, the daughter who was advised to go. She's actually the daughter of King Unutapa, the Mambus. She was forced to leave because of some misunderstandings, and can I reserve that for another day?
Thank you.
And when she left, the mother arranged all the rain charms so that like father, like daughter, she must have the secret of bringing down the rain as and when the time demands. She left with all those rituals, and from 1600, her firstborn, Magapimo, became the first king of the Balobedu Nation, followed by his son, Mohali, followed by one of his sons, Malacha, followed by one of his sons to Malacha, which is Petule, followed by Hoshikiabe, followed by Hoshimokoto. And all these people reigned over Balobedu for a period of anything not less than 200 years. It was only during the 18th century, 1800, that Masilegwane, Modjadji, the first, the female ascending the throne, a sign of the Balobedu Nation being so gender sensitive. Long before this politics of yours of 50-50 could even be born, we knew that women also have got God-given powers to ascend position of responsibilities. It was Masilegwane, Queen Modjadji I, then followed by Masalanab, Queen Modjadji II, followed by Khethakoni, Queen Modjadji III, followed by Magoma, Queen Modjadji VI, followed by Mokwebo, Queen Modjadji V, followed by Mokwebo, Queen Modjadji VI. And as I'm talking to you now, in 2006, after the death of Mokwebo, Queen Modjadji VI, the council and the family decided to appoint His Majesty Wakoma Mbapata Modjadji to ascend the throne as a regent on behalf of the two kids, because they were still very young. and he has been at the helm for anything not less than 18 years. So anybody who comes out and start insulting a person who led more than 2.2 million for more than 18 years is not an insult. It's not only an insult on His Majesty Bakoma, but it's an insult to us and the whole nation at large.
Thank you. So, in the history that you laid bare and you articulated very clearly, you are indicating that in the rich history of Balobedu people, it is not uncommon. In fact, it's a fact of history that there are more men and they have led more as kings than we have queens. In the modern era, the Modjadji people, the Balobedu people have been known to be led by a queen. So going back to having kings leading Balobedu people, it's not the first in history. It has been happening, and you have just articulated that. And thank you for doing that. Have I captured it correctly?
You have captured it correctly. Of course, you will be right to say those men who led are more than the women who led, because if we talk about men, though effectually it is 6-6. 6 kings, 6 queens. But if you were to rope in the role played by His Majesty Bakoma Patamedi, it will be 7-6. I mean, 7 men leading and 6 women leading. I mean, if we were to balance the equation, the pendulum is going to be in favor of males who led than women.
That's why I'm including, because back of my mind, I'm including, and I'm still hung on the fact that you consider His Majesty the current prince as king-elect Lukukela, and we still have the regent, of course. So if I add the numbers, it's more kings who have led the Balobedu people.
Very correct, Dr. Mashian. It's just unfortunate that human mind can easily forget. Those like you and I can go all out and confuse the nation and the whole world by saying the Balobedu Nation, the Modjadji Royal Nation, is only known to have been led by women. It's a lie. It's a fantasy. It's a fabrication. And we're not going to keep quiet when people misrepresent us. I have just clearly indicated where it all started.
Thanks for doing that. And in the history that you articulate, there's an interesting surname. This surname is an interesting surname, as I repeat myself.
Which surname is that?
The Mukoto surname. So the Mukotos, as I've asked a lot of people, so the Mukotos seem to, I don't want to say involve themselves, but they're an integral part of the history of Balobedu people, to an extent that when they were sitting here with me, they alluded to the fact that they, more than anyone, carry the royal blood, and to an extent that they not only accuse yourselves, but they accuse even the princesses to not have royal blood, and then renders them as commoners. How does that make you feel, and what is your response?
No. The goddess should not cause confusion. Reverse. There was a time when King Mukoto led, and the drama show that you and I love so much, which will be viewing every Sunday from 8 o'clock, 161, attest to that, Koshi Mukoto, Ibile Monna wa Mafelelo, Erio Balaufita, Ka Koshi Magubo, Modjadji Royal Koshi Mukoto Kenana Bijus too. And they think because Mukoto was the last king to reign and to be on the throne, they think it is an entitlement that the Mugotos must continue. That's a terrible fabrication and a lie. They tried that in 2015, 2016, by the time when we were claiming our status. They also claimed they should be the ones who must be recognized. They tried. You see, it was not only the Modjadji royal family which was claiming. The Mongotos also submitted their claims, the counterclaim, but they lost in a first-class distinction. I don't know what more do they want to do, because you see, go and search into the archives. They lost. They were told to be persona non grata. Their time had passed. Because by the time when we got demoted, on the throne was Kosi Magoma Modjadji. She started ruling from 1960 until 1960, 70 until 1980. From 1960 until 1980, she is the one with, you see, she is the one who knows the taste of being demoted. So, who are these guys, the Mugotos? They are our cousins, it's true. Mara, Ntoniyaboda Buosi Butuile. Biatena Kantonia Masilukwane, Modjadji, Wamatomo. And Ntonia Masilukwane Modjadji, Wamatomo, Buosi Biatwa. Biatena, Masalanabo, Modjadji, Wabbedu. So on and so on and so on. I will not go to the reverse. If your mother's child was a king, as a younger brother, go and akushi. No ways. No ways. Hence, the very same act. The advice of the act, if as a king, only coach wakagofala. Wosi buya Mara, they are still very young. The act is discouraging that. Instead, the act says your mother must act on your behalf.
No, kia leboga.
Yeah.
Kia leboga. I hope ura ka tsena ga nong Ntate Moroatshehla. Ke na le two things. Number one, ke nyaka educate. I have heard several times ge re bolela ka Sotho. A ke re ka Sekgowa re Queen Modjadji. Ka Sotho or re ke apa ka Balobedu re Kgoshi Modjadji.
When I think Kitaufa area Modata Udulaona Modjadji, because the Rotel Gushi Shalufeta living Bajona or Baba Tlimango the same. Gakia is Kolobe. Arnan Babajarko Koshi Hardin. Wamana Gikosi Mukoto Gikosi Muhali Gikosi Kiale Gikosi Malaja Gikosi Magapim Wamasagi Gikosi Modjadji and if you want to attach their original names, ukanopya wari Kosi Masalukwana Modjadji, Kosi Masalana Modjadji, Kosi Kisetwana Modjadji, Kosi, so on and so on. Arinanto babijarge Queen Kasia is Jajoga Sukua, Aringijabu Queen Elizabeth go England. Morina Kosi Umunawa Musahati.
Okay, the second part of my question, Gorim. Which way I've understood the way Obrelangor Bogoshi Abu Kumani we saw. Which is the proper way of identifying an heir to the throne? Like the proper way. Lika the current legislation or the current act. Okay. You
educate, but ubadile school fees. Yeah, ubadile school fees. In our own tradition and culture, identification, an heir to the throne or Robulaman. Ebe ishuma gaserisi bijaure
Ubulando.
There was a special hat, this roundable kind of a house, There was a special roundable which was specifically reserved for identification. Who is going to be an heir to the throne? All when the king is dead, all his children would line up. They lined up themselves in an attempt to go and open the locked door. And it was only the one who was successfully going to open that door who would be accepted as an heir to the throne, and hence and the others would just accept them. The tradition is but currently, what would happen, because civilization currently, what is happening here, based on the act, what happens is the royal family, and I know the royal family, if within the family, those are the people who are going to be viewed as the royal family. Will sit down and look at all the siblings. And converge. But sometimes even before convergence on that, they would even walk them, the whole lot they walk them through the rituals step by step until finally they will have satisfied themselves to rule over this big nation of 2.2 million. Hence, Manabakosi, Reluagamuka, Gariato Kabusi, Adzivi, Montela Machia.
Kuruteil.
School fees, one is school fees.
Kuruteil, Wabana, Kilobule wisdom, and Kilobule the time you spent with us today, because if Ngekeska Ukuman, this wisdom in Berito Barasai Kumana and Kilabora li patience around this time. I keep telling you, I'm not going to be satisfied until you come and sit in this studio.
I'm coming. I've already, for information, I've already discussed with His Majesty Makoma, Mbabata Modjadji, that you're calling us. But you know, it's I'm coming. That studio of yours, because I can see you are accommodating a lot of imposters who are misleading the nation. I'm coming there to correct things. Be rest assured. The only thing which was a stumbling block, of course, was we felt we should not be talking too much when, especially this matter, the court case was still in the hands of the courts. You see, you can't be talking and preempting things when the matter is still running through the courts. We wanted the courts to summarize this whole confusion and the impasse, so that when I come there, I'll be able to be clarifying the nation as to from the beginning until the end. But now we have not yet reached the end, and these guys are not ready to go to court. If I were to tell you that they were summoned on the 5th of September to go, so that we identified the day of appearance, and new lawyers came and they said they are not conversant with the contents of the papers. They need time for at least a month. And on the 5th of October, instead of going back to court so that the court date should be agreed to, they further said, just wrote a 2-line email and said, the child is busy with examinations, we are not ready. Last year, September and October. And what we are fighting for is the way back to court for the final ruling. And immediately after the ruling, I'm going to come to a studio, invited or not invited. You'll hear me knocking there, in partnership or in partnership. I'm coming over there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Let me release you, but let me leave you with a good story. You know, after the show last night, I went on social media. I went on Twitter specifically to check the feedback. Lots and lots of positive feedback, lots of positive, and the education. People were shocked at what are the things that they did not know. That's why I kept on telling you that I'm anticipating for this to come through. It is just unfortunate it comes through with drama, with a drama series that comes with drama series before it actually comes. But it's positive. People are being positive about this. They think it's the time for, and I actually watched the creative director who spoke on this, Gash. This is good news. People are excited. Finally, we can hear our own stories on TV. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for the wisdom.
Thank you very much. You're welcome, but I'm coming. The bottom line is I'm coming over there.
Thank you very much.
Whether you will invite me or not, I'm coming, Baba.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you heard. This is where the story is. This is where the third. If I say the third, it sounds like I'm putting them at the last. There's no order of picking, but it's three. It's three factions. It's three cabals. It's three contests who are contesting for being the rightful people to appoint the heir to the throne, Balobedu. Very confusing at most, but I think this is what we have had. I'm still not happy about Kgoshi Lukukela not being declared heir to the throne, as previously he has. Because if he acknowledges that Bakoma Mpapata is the regent, means he is still the king of Balobedu people. And then what does that render Kgoshi Lukukela and Kgoshi Masala Nabo the 7th? Because her mother was the 6th. her seventh, the daughter of the sun. Is it a three people race? Because we've got a king standing, we've got a queen standing, and we've got a regent who is uncle of the two siblings who are both, depending on who you listen to, they are heirs to the throne. The certificate is not yet issued, but these people are queen or king elect. Mashiach politically incorrect. As usual, please educate us further after the wisdom that we have received. We're still hoping to sit with more people to clarify this matter further, because we cannot close it until we hear everyone who needs to speak. Thank you very much.